welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the latest in my series of videos about how to pass an advanced bike test. In this video I'm going to combine two subjects into one video because I think it's easy enough to cover them both in a relatively short video, and actually both of those different elements relate to each other, and those two elements are safety and legality and progress and restraint. So with IAM Road Smart, and in a slightly different way but very similar way with ROSPA and the police, you're marked on whether the ride is safe and legal, and you're marked on your balance that you manage to strike between progress and restraint. So I'll talk about both of those elements, and then I'll explain what the different organisations are looking for if you're undertaking an advanced bike test. So safety and legality, let's start with that. It should be fairly obvious by the fact that road safety charities, road safety organisations promote advanced driving and riding, and IAM Road Smart is a road safety charity, as is ROSPA. Should be fairly obvious that the ride on test should be safe. Now actually all the skills that you learn as part of your advanced bike course, all the stuff that your observers or your instructors or your tutors pass on to you, is primarily designed at keeping you safe. We're very vulnerable on the bike, aren't we? It almost goes without saying how vulnerable we are, but you know, a minor bump in a car that would leave you with a bit of damage on a bike would leave you in hospital, or even worse. Come off this thing and hit that down there and it hurts a lot, and it can do a lot of damage, life-changing damage if you're not careful. So these courses are, number one, primarily about keeping you safe, keeping you upright, keeping your shiny side up. So during the test I'm looking to see that your actions prioritise safety above everything else. Whatever you've got going on, whatever it is you're dealing with, above everything else I want you to keep yourself safe. Nice old Ferrari 348 there, very nice. There, fella. And that's what I mean. Where you see a developing hazard, move away from it. Where you see something that could be a risk to you, be cautious. Don't just dive into everything. This is where people get it wrong on the bike. They rush into situations. You know, it goes wrong, somebody doesn't see them, somebody pulls out, and they're putting themselves into conflict with those other vehicles. You need to invoke Reg's policy of non-involvement. Don't involve yourself in other people's cock-ups. Look down the road, recognise when people are getting it wrong, and stay out of that. Stay out of that situation. Keep yourself safe, keep yourself upright. Minimise your risks. Alright, there are some inherent risks with being a road user. Between 1,400 and 1,500 people a year die on the roads. We accept those risks when we go out on the road. We accept the extra level of vulnerability of being a motorcyclist. We accept that. Because the other good points about riding a bike outweigh it. It's lovely riding a bike. Look at today. This is mid-November, it's 15 degrees, blue skies. It's lovely being out in the open. But I know I'm vulnerable on the bike. Every time I put my leg over the bike I always just close my eyes for half a second and go, not today. Just a bit of a reminder how vulnerable you are. So make sure in your decision making, in your planning, when you're out on test, that you're prioritising safety above all your other priorities. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy the ride, doesn't mean you can't get on with it, which I'll talk about in a minute, but prioritise your safety. Then we come on to legality. Again, ROSPA, IAM Road Smart are road safety charities. They are not going to promote the breaking of rules. If you're doing a course with the police, you're a police officer generally. Most people undertaking a police course are police officers. If you're a police officer on a liveried bike, you're out there in full view of the public. They're looking to you to set an example. You wouldn't believe how many people like to ring the police and say, I've just seen somebody with a tail light out, or I've just seen one of your police officers speeding or contravening a road sign. They love dobbing you in as a police officer. They like to put the shoe on the other foot. So don't give them that ammunition, don't give them that opportunity. You should be setting a good example on a liveried police bike when you're out there on the roads. The only difference with a police bike course is that you have an exemption from speed limits, and even that's carefully applied. We're in a 30 limit now. If I was on a police bike course, I'd be expected to be doing bang on 30 and nothing more. break the speed limit here and it's a fail on the course. You might be legally exempt, but it's not appropriate on a bike course to be doing anything more than 30 through here. When you get on the national speed limit roads, however, that's where your exemption will come in. You'll be able to use that exemption and pick the speed up a little bit, or a lot. But legality is more than just sticking to speed limits. You know, I am Road Smart Ross, but the expectation is on the test you'll stick to every speed limit. But the expectation as well is that you'll stick to every other rule. So if there are road markings that are mandatory, that tell you what you can and what you can't do, you'll be expected to stick to that. Double white lines, for example. Where the line closest to you is solid, you're not allowed to cross, straddle or park alongside. You'll be expected to know that and stick with that rule. Road signs. Really, really good practice as part of an advanced riding course of any description, to get your head around all the road signs, know them, understand them, learn the difference between a warning sign and a mandatory prohibition sign. So a warning sign is usually in a triangle. That's something that you need to be aware of, something that might be a hazard to you further up the road. A mandatory road sign, the road sign that tells you what you can do or what you can't do legally, is usually round with a red ring round it, like these 50-mile-an-hour speed limit signs here. I'm not allowed to go above 50 mile an hour on this road. You know, learn the difference between a give way sign and a stop sign. Learn what you've got to do. Learn the correct terminology for those road signs. And when you're on the road, look for them. It's a really good way to improve your observations anyway. Get your eyes up, look in the distance, look at road signs. Here I've got a warning of a bend to the right with a junction to the left. I've got a warning that we're on a cycleway and an advisory speed limit of 40 miles an hour for the corner. Well, it's advisory. I am going to be out of position on the approach to this right-hander because of the junction, but as I get closer to the junction, move my position near side. Actually 50 is okay, keep that up through there. It's advisory. So your examiner will be looking to see if the ride is safe and legal throughout, and it's really important that you keep to that. Now, they're not deliberately looking to catch you out. They're not trying to get you to fail. We all want you to pass this test. Everybody does. Every examiner wants you to pass. But don't give them an excuse. Don't give them a reason to fail you because you've committed a moving traffic offence. And if you're breaking speed limits, you're committing a moving traffic offence. If you're failing to stop at stop lines, you're committing a moving traffic offence. It's going to be getting you very close to, if not onto, an automatic fail, that. Why would we pass you on our advanced bike test if you're going to commit offences? So, as far as safety and legality is concerned, just remember that. The ride's got to be safe above everything else, and it's got to be legal, barring any exemptions that you might have if you're on an emergency services or police call. So let's now look at the second element of this video, which is progress versus restraint. And they are two sides of the same coin. So let's start with progress, because a lot of people misunderstand the term. They don't understand what progress means. What a lot of people think, it's money down there, isn't it? Look at that. What a lot of people think is that progress means winding it on and riding as fast as you can, where you can. Now, admittedly, on a national speed limit road, we want you to get on with it, but progress is a much broader subject than just riding fast. In fact, you can ride progressively at quite low speeds in town. Let me better define progress for you. Progress means just getting on with it. Getting on with it, not faffing about, showing a bit of gumption if you're from these parts. Now, I've just said to you that the ride needs to be safe and that safety is a priority above everything else, but if we just prioritise safety and thought about nothing else, then I will be crawling along this road now at 10 miles an hour, worried about everything. And that's not appropriate, is it? Because actually, you know, we're on the bike to get where we want to go or to enjoy the ride. And the beauty about bikes is that they're quick, they're swift, they accelerate nice and quickly. You're out in the open air and we want to get on with it. And that's progress, that's getting on with it. So part of that is, yes, on national speed limit roads, we want to be up to that speed limit, and we all want to be up to it sharply and smartly. We don't want to crawl along and just slowly accelerate. Bikes accelerate quick, use it. It's a big part of the enjoyment about riding a motorbike, isn't it, that they accelerate quickly. But at the same time, just because you can ride the bike quick doesn't always mean that you should. And this is restraint. Restraint is knowing when you should hold back. So this is a national speed limit road. I am not rushing into this left-hander here. Just because I can do 60 down here doesn't mean that I should. In fact, if I did, it'd be a bit flipping stupid, wouldn't it? Look, it's tight, it's twisty, we've got wet leaves on the floor, we've got areas of damp road under the microclimates of these trees. I'm doing 23 miles an hour now in a national speed limit, and it's just about right. I'm showing restraint. I'm picking a speed that's appropriate for the road. Other elements of progress include making reasonably quick decisions at junction. So we just said that bikes accelerate quick. You shouldn't be pulling up to a junction and waiting forever for the world's longest gap to emerge. You shouldn't be waiting there for somebody to give you a written invitation to pull out. If there's a reasonable gap to pull out and you can get up to speed nice and safely without affecting anybody else on the road, get on with it, ride progressively, get out of that junction. Overtaking, if you're behind a slow moving vehicle and there is a safe opportunity to overtake, take it. I'm going to talk about overtaking separately in another video, because you do not have to get an overtake to pass the advanced bike test, trust me. But some people crawl along the roads, don't they? Take the time, trundle around, and if a nice safe opportunity presents itself, it'd be really nice if you take it. It's riding progressively, it's getting on with it, it's not faffing about, and it's showing a bit of gumption. The flip side of that is there are 1,000 reasons not to overtake the vehicle in front, and I want you to have eliminated all of those 1,000 reasons before you actually go for the overtake. So if you sit in a good following position and you choose not to take an overtake for a good reason, that's showing restraint. We're not just barreling into every single overtaking opportunity. Everyone needs to be properly considered. So whilst we will take the nice obvious overtakes when they present themselves, we'll also show a bit of restraint. That way we're eliminating the amount of risk, we're keeping the ride safe, which is our #1 priority, and we're not just prioritising progress, we're showing restraint. Progress is about the way that you deal with changes in speed limits as well. So we're in a 30 limit at the moment. If we were to come out of this 30 limit into a national speed limit, what I want to see on test is you checking your mirrors. We check the mirrors just to make sure, and shoulders as well, just to make sure we're not being overtaken by somebody else, because we don't want to accelerate if we're being overtaken. But do a nice back rearward check over your shoulders, mirrors. Maybe take a lower gear, get the bike ready to accelerate, and then just get on it. And if, for example, you're on a national speed limit, single carriageway road, where the speed limit is 60 miles an hour, if there is no reason not to, I want to be doing 60 miles an hour or thereabouts. That's riding progressively up to the speed limit, nice and quickly up to it. And if there's no reason not to, let's hold it at that speed limit. Think about the other side of that speed limit question, where you're going from a national, for example, into a 30 limit. You're going from a higher speed limit to a lower speed limit. A lot of people, as soon as they see that lower speed limit, will roll off the gas, gently bring the speed of the bike down so that we're just about at 30 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour, whatever that lower speed limit is, just as you go through the speed limit signs. But that's not making best progress along the road. Actually, you can get a bit further, you can hold the speed a little bit higher and then brake into that 30 limit or the 40 limit a little bit later, and that way you will maximise your progress along the road. So that's good to see on test. I'd like to see you holding the pace, holding the speed, and then braking it down for the lower speed limit a little bit later. I'm not on about really honking on the brakes and standing the bike on its nose. I'm just on about maintaining progress, maintaining your pace just for a few seconds longer before you slow down and slow it down to that lower speed limit. So what are the different organisations looking for on test when it comes to safety and legality, and when it comes to progress and restraint? So I am Road Smart and ROSPA. If you're looking to get a bronze at ROSPA or a silver, or you're looking to get a pass at IAM Road Smart? Well, the ride's got to be safe. There's no two ways about it. I'm going to be honest, it's just one standard really for safety throughout the ride. I don't want you putting yourself at risk. I don't want you squeezing yourself into gaps or anything like that. So you might do a first class ride in every respect, but you might do something that puts yourself at risk or in danger, and I have failed people for this before. You failed the test. So really, even when we get to those higher levels of passes, first and gold, the standard for safety is the same, and the standard for legality is the same as well. You know, just occasionally somebody might be over speed in a speed limit, or they might miss a lower speed limit. As long as you deal with that quickly, you know, say you get a couple of 100 yards into a 30 limit and you haven't recognised it, then you realise that the street lamps and no repeaters and it's a 30 limit, well, sort it out and deal with it. We're not going to fail you for that, just the occasional script, but it might drop you down from a 1 to a 2. It might just bring your score down a little bit. But you know, really, the ride is safe and legal, or it's not, and it's just different levels of that, and how far you fall below that standard. Progress in restraint, however, there's different levels that will still get you a pass. So for a pass at IAM Road Smart, and for a silver or a bronze at ROSPA, well, I just want to see you getting on with it to a degree. You know, you don't have to break any records, you don't have to set a blistering pace. I don't want to crawl around terrified of our own shadow. I want you to get on with it to a certain degree, but as long as if you steady away, you know, this course is not about pushing you into being the world's fastest rider. It's not about speed, it's just about whether you get on with it. So don't hesitate too long at junctions, show a little bit of gumption, get on with it, try and get up to the speed limits where you can do. You're going to get a pass or a bronze or a silver. If you want a first, or you want a gold at ROSPA, then we're looking for you to be properly on it within the speed limits. So where there's an increase in speed limit, I definitely want to see you click the bike down a gear, check your shoulders, and immediately get the bike up to speed. I don't want to be doing 45 in a national speed limit if it's safe to do 60. I want good, positive, snappy decisions at junctions. I want you taking the very obvious overtakes when they present themselves. The ride needs to be a bit more progressive, a bit more getting on with it and not faffing about. Now in the police, progress is more angled towards the speed as well. So yeah, all that stuff in the speed limit areas and your posted speed limit areas, getting on with it, making nice snappy decisions, all the rest of it. But on national speed limit roads, there is an expectation that you properly get on with it. You've got that exemption from speed limits, use it. Look for every overtaking opportunity, look to progress along the road. If you're not riding progressively, you know, when you're riding operationally in the police, there are times when you're going to have to properly get on it. There are times when you're responding to incidents. Maybe you're doing some security escort work, you're escorting VIPs and things like that. There are times when you've really got to get on it on that bike. So the course, the advanced bike course especially, standard yes, but the advanced definitely, is about giving you the opportunity to ride that bike at speed, and quite often well into 3-figure speed. So take that opportunity, learn it, and that's what's expected on test. So just remember, progress is not just about riding the bike quickly. It is about not faffing about. It's about getting on with it, and it's about showing a bit of gumption. Unlike this fella who keeps randomly slowing down for very little reason. Show a bit of gumption, but balance it off with a bit of restraint as well. And of course, make sure that the ride is safe and legal. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, got something out of it. It's another couple of boxes ticked for the various subjects that we're covering in this series of videos. Just got a few more to come. I'm going to do one on overtaking, one or two other little videos, and then at the end I'm actually going to be able to show you an actual test underway, an actual live IAM advanced test with a genuine candidate. So we've made those arrangements. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Go and have a look at the website as well, reglocal.com. Loads more information there about advanced and performance driving and riding. Information about the books that I've written that are available on Amazon. Christmas is coming up. Make a good present. And information about how you can get a day or half a day's driver or rider coaching with me if you fancy a drive out or a ride out. drop me a line and we'll sort something out. But for now, thanks very much for watching, hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.